Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross, and this is the 3 Mile Domination Show. Thanks for tuning in. In this episode, I want to talk about the importance of self-storage audits. I've been doing a bunch of them lately, and it's always surprising how rewarding it can really be. And not just coming from me because I'm the one that's providing the audit, but really how much benefit that owner and operator gets out of it. Having, quite honestly, it's a third party, kind of a non-biased, person coming in and doing an operational and financial audit. I do marketing as well, marketing audits there. We'll kind of break down what my audit entails, maybe spur ideas for yourself as well. But time and time again, I've gone into these sites, and again, I'm just kind of a different perspective, or I've just done things so long in certain different ways that I can kind of see it from a different angle. And every time I'm able to kind of look and see, okay, you can plug some holes here and I'll make you some more money here as far as revenue management, or this part here can be a little more efficient, and this is my recommendation to make things a little more efficient for you. This kind of goes back to one of my episodes sometime this week about the power of questions. That's what I've done now for time and time again. I always ask myself, how can I make this process a little bit better? How can I make a little bit more money here? How can I save a little bit more money here? And all that kind of compounds on itself. And it's really helped me create, a great system and a great outlook on what a self-storage site could be ran, should be ran. And again, it's not cookie cutter. I mean, every site's a little bit different. I totally get that. Trust me, I've seen them all, from the Class D properties to the Class A properties and everything in between. And what works at one site may not work for another site, but each site on an individual basis, there's always room for improvement. It's constant and never-ending improvement. I live by that. So, and it goes perfectly with a self-storage operation as well. You think you might be running a tight ship and everything is running as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And again, in your mind or in your operations, it probably is. But there's just something to that third party kind of non-biased person to come in, and again, I do it personally. I have nothing to lose. It's I want you to like me, but I'm not going to be your best friend, and I'm going to tell you like it is. And it's kind of holding up a mirror to your business. And there's no getting around it. It is what it is, and kind of show you recommendations and things that are popping out to me that could be easily fixed, or something to start putting in place to more of a longer term plan. Anyway, let me kind of, again, I've been doing a bunch of these lately, so I have like a 14 point system I've been going through, and I'm not going to go through the whole each individual one and all the sub points that go to it. Give you the main categories, give you some ideas. Of course, first and foremost, I go and do these audits is obviously the walkthrough. I mean, you gotta know what you're dealing with. So, thank you very much, manager. Sit down, pull me a walkthrough report. I'll be back in a while, and I'm physically going around those sites, rolling up the doors. If it's a vacant unit, cool. Let's roll up the door. Let's make sure it's vacant. Is it tagged correctly? Great. Lien sales, if it's in lien sale, it's ready for auction. Is it overlocked? Does it have a seal tag on it? Has it been processed correctly? Is it notified? All those kind of things. Do the full walkthrough. And while you're doing the walkthrough, you got property maintenance here. You're making notes of, what needs to be done, what's... Too many times I've seen managers almost become, again, no knock on managers, but when you're there every single day and you're seeing that exact same problem, that same house that needs to be fixed, or the weeds that, I don't remember them being 3 feet tall yesterday, that type of thing. You just kind of become blind to really what's going on. And when you get a fresh perspective coming in, it's like, holy crap, this is, you got to fix this. And then all of a sudden you think, well, I was supposed to be doing that last week, but actually that ended up being a year ago. You're going to do something and fix something like that. So again, having that different perspective coming in and pointing these things out, it helps a lot. Plus, it gets written down. That's not just a coulda, shoulda. I'll get to it later. It's written down with a timetable on when it's going to get fixed. So you got property maintenance there. Same time, you're looking at security. You know, all the cameras working. Is the gate functional? Are the cameras pointing in the right direction? Is it actually being recorded? I'm not going to name names, but I've seen too many sites that have the cameras looks all great and the DVR doesn't work. Or it's working and the manager's never been trained, doesn't have a clue on how to look at the footage or to, burn it to a DVD or to a flash drive or how to email the footage, that kind of thing. So, yeah, for security, and again, when you put yourself in the customer's shoes, security is the number one feature. So, part of that audit is making sure you're putting your best foot forward when you are showcasing the security of your site. And that comes with, the perimeter fencing as well, making sure all that's up to par. And one of these days I'll just show pictures of some of these sites. It's pretty funny. But again, this comes down to security. I can't talk today. Computer gate. Again, gate's working great, but I've seen lots of times that the gate hours that's being logged on the computer are off. And managers can attest to this. When someone comes in, they're like, I just got broken into, and they're freaking out on you. And you got to start going piece by piece, trying to figure out, who was in there at that time, when was the last time that person was in there. And what it comes down to is security camera footage and the gate log. And if the hours are not jiving together, if they're not synced up, it's a mess trying to figure that timetable out. So just bring it up because I've seen that time again. Just make sure the hours that your security camera is recording it matches the same hours and time as the security gate log. Again, kind of common sense, but I've seen that just over and over again. Those hours are just not jiving. And I think you can thank daylight savings time and things like that for screwing that up for everybody. One thing gets adjusted and the other one doesn't, and they're always just going to be off. So then we got manager. I'm assessing the manager too. That kind of gives me a little insight to how they're treating customers and how they're being nice to me. They're cooperating with me. Are they cool? Let's put it that way. Am I getting along with them? If there's a rift and there's this kind of just a standoffish type of thing, well, two things. A, they're probably treating their customers that way. They're just kind of maybe not the most pleasant of human beings to deal with. And B, a little more troubling is it seems like when I have managers that are just really irritated that I'm there and standoffish and not cooperating very well, it's hard to say, but that's a red flag that something's fishy's going on. And I started digging even more into the financials. And more often than not, a little embezzlement's going on, and yeah, it ends up being not just a friendly audit, but a recommendation to fire and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's a tip. Be nice. If you see me walk through your doors, put a smile on your face. All right. Communication procedures. This is more of the operational type thing. What's the flow of communication with the manager and the relief manager? That's a big one. I see quite often a big chasm in between that communication. I mean, you're in the same office, not on the same day most of the time, but just that communication gap is big time and time again. And of course, the communication flow between the manager and your district manager, your boss, or however you're structured, but just the inter-organizational communication. Is it calls? Is it texts? Is it emails? Is it scheduled calls to check in? How does that work? And lots of times, kind of that simple question of how that works, there's not much of an answer to it. So there's not really that structure set up. So it's one of those things that's pretty easily remedied, of putting some kind of structure in place when it comes to the flow of communication and how that works. Honestly, 90% of the problems that come up, it comes down to communication, guys. I mean, that's it. It really does. So we can do a whole series just on that idea. Deposits, petty cash, fees, financials. Okay, it's a financial audit. Just going through and making sure that everything matches. What got brought in that day in cash is actually getting deposited in the bank the next day, and not just being deposited, the timing of those deposits. Are they being done every other day, possibly? It's the sites that have deposits and they're doing a deposit once a week, once every 2 weeks. Hello, red flag. They're holding those cash. They're using that money. They're waiting until payday to come in, and they're putting that cash back in to make up for it and then depositing it. It's seen that way, way, way too often. So again, it's just double checking your deposits, your petty cash, balancing out, your cash drawer balancing out, that type of thing. And really, it doesn't take a whole lot to know if something's going on. Yeah, if you're actually looking at it, it'll be pretty apparent fairly quickly if something's up. And you know what I mean by something. Move-ins, move-outs. This comes down to looking at your move-in process, going through the contract. I mean, is that contract still from a year 2000, site link template? I've seen it a lot too. No, stop it. That's insane. Using the contract templates that come with your storage software. Not picking on SiteLink, they all have it. Don't use it. Get a real contract for your site, for your estate. They're out there, purchase it, pointing up the money, just make sure it's good. Been blessed by the self-storage attorney that knows of the laws in and out. Make sure you have a good contract. See that way, way, way too often of just a really generic contract, and it just opens yourselves up to liability. That's the bottom line. So having a good contract, move outs, is it being done correctly in the system? The proration, refunds, that type of thing. And then how's it all being filed? Is it always being thrown in a drawer and calling it good and shutting the door and out of sight, out of mind type of thing? It's something very simple as far as putting some organizational structure when it comes to move-ins and move-outs and how that flow of paperwork should be handled. I think part of the audit is recognizing that and making recommendations on how to fix it. Again, 9 times out of 10, it's a very simple, easy fix. Just doing it. Delinquencies, another big portion of it is just making sure the collection schedule is being done properly, that the liens are being done properly, the ultimate having the auctions is being done properly. That's a biggie for me. I used to have a self-storage auction company for years. And so just because I saw so many sites, and you know who you are too, probably, if you're just doing them half-assed and they're not being done properly. Just because you haven't been sued in the past doesn't mean it's coming. It takes one wrong guy to get mad at you, and his brother's an attorney, and then all of a sudden, your life's hell for a while trying to deal with that. So, are you using a checklist? Checklist. Especially when it comes to delinquencies and going through the actual auction process. Are you utilizing that correctly? Is everything being done properly? And that's a whole other thing as well. They can go on for a long time, but just making sure that delinquencies are being followed up on, systems in place, and ultimately the auctions being conducted correctly. And then we go into, what I love is, more of the marketing. It's a marketing audit. Where are your leads coming from? Are you tracking your leads? Are you checking what your ROI is off of what you're putting money into? I always love to tell the managers, what's your lifetime value of a customer? More often than not, I kind of get a glazed look over their eye and explain what a lifetime value is. Then we sit down on the report and take 5 minutes and figure that out. I think you've heard me spout on this for years now, but I love my managers to know when that phone rings, how much potential money to that business is on the other end of that line. It's average rental is $100 and they stay for 12 months on average. Okay, there's $1,200 on the other end of that line. That's very minimal. I just did an audit for a site. No kidding, the average stay was 4 years. And that's even after I took out the top 10%, the lifers, because I was going to skew the numbers even more. I took out the top 10% off, and it was still 4-year average span. I've never seen that. The average lifetime customer value there was like 5,000 something bucks. It was insane, but they didn't know that. Sat down and did it for, ran the numbers for a quick 5 minutes, figured it out, and blew their mind. So going to the marketing leads, how are you doing it? What's bringing in the most value, bang for your buck for what you're spending on, and making those kind of recommendations. Conversions. for the money you're spending, how is that manager being trained on making sure that potential renter is going to rent from you and not somebody else? So we go through conversion techniques and what they've learned and what they need to learn and make recommendations there. Internet, again, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to marketing online, you need to be auditing yourself when it comes to the internet process, how your competition is doing online. Keeping an eye on that, putting the review systems in place, checking your reviews, making sure everything's mobile friendly. And I've done plenty of videos on that in the past. It's a passion of mine, but having that checklist, and it's a long checklist that I go through when it comes to making sure your internet marketing is up to snuff, and it's bringing in the leads that it should be for you. Because again, that's where it is. It comes to drive-by internet. That's it. And then you got everything else that kind of about the remaining 10%, but on average it's 50-60% drive-by, 30-40% kind of in that range is internet, and then everything else is kind of your alliances and your referrals, that type of thing. So internet is very, very, very important to be auditing yourself on. Then of course revenue management. That's we end it there because that's ultimately that's the goal here, is making things more efficient, and with efficiency comes making more money. And do you have those kind of systems in place? Are you doing your rent raises on a programmable basis, or is it just kind of at when you feel like it type of thing? And more often than not, that's usually what I hear is you just kind of just do it when when it's that time. And if you're not doing it on a schedule, yeah, there's a lot of efficiency and a lot of inefficiency, and you're leaving money on the table there. And revenue management, we can go on forever about that, but again, there's a kind of a 10-point checklist we go through on revenue management, making sure you're doing this. If not, here's a recommendation how to put this in place, and trust me, if you just do these kind of things, you're going to make more money. So there's a lot to that when it comes to revenue management, but that's a very important part when it comes to the audits. So anyway, gone on forever, about 17 minutes now. So sorry, a little bit longer than I normally like to do these, but again, I just want to kind of get a overview of what should be in an audit. And if you haven't been audited in some long time, or probably ever, I get it. A lot of people don't. But there's so much to be said for having that third-party, non-biased person coming in and tearing it apart, honestly. Kind of really just going through everything and pointing out these things that can be improved on, and you get that report back in black and white. There's a lot of value to that. So anyway, let's leave it at that. As always, appreciate any kind of comments you have. Like it, share it, whatever you want to do, but let me know you're out there and listening. I would really appreciate it. And again, I don't ask for money on these type of things. That's my reward for putting out this kind of content is, let me know you're out there. Give me a comment, give me a like, give me some love in that way. So great, I appreciate it, and great. Talk to you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. We love to give away free books that will help your self-storage business. To pick up your free copy of Self-Storage Domination, the actions you must take to dominate your competition, simply go to selfstoragedomination.com.